This episode is made possible by the BC Ale Trail. Arrive thirsty, leave inspired at bcaletrail.ca. If you hit a midlife crisis, what's the obvious choice? Buy a motorcycle? Nah, you get into brewing beer. Welcome to the Cascadian Beer Podcast. My name's Aaron and I'm Cascadian. In this podcast series, I profile the unique breweries of Cascadia, a region that has a strong presence on the international beer scene. Cascadia is a bioregion in the Pacific Northwest on the North American continent. It's made up of the U.S. states of Washington and Oregon, as well as the Canadian province of British Columbia. If you're enjoying this podcast series, I really hope you're subscribed on your favorite podcast app. It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe and you'll never miss an episode. And if you enjoy this series, please feel free to share with a friend. It really helps support and grow this podcast series. You can also keep up to date by following us on social media at facebook.com/Cascadian Beer, on Twitter at Cascadian Beer, and on Instagram at Cascadian Beer Podcast. So in this episode, I was very fortunate to visit a beautiful part of British Columbia. I traveled Highway 16 in the northern part of the province recently, and I made a stop in the community of Terrace. Sherwood Mountain is a brewery focusing mostly on lagers, and has been quite successful in the local area. On a very busy Thursday afternoon, I sat down with brewer and co-owner Darryl Tucker.
Darryl Tucker, and the owner of Sherwood Mountain Brewhouse and brewmaster, quote unquote.
All right, and how long you been open for?
We opened December 19th of 2014, so a week before Christmas.
Right.
Good time to open a brewery if you want to go in with a big pow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And where are we? Where are we located in the province?
We're in the northwest part of the province, Terrace, BC.
Yeah, right on Highway 16, right?
Right on Highway 16.
Yeah.
It's a Yellowhead Highway and takes you right into Rupert, and from there you can hit the island, Haida or go to Alaska.
Yeah, and it was a beautiful drive coming out. I drove in from Smithers today.
That whole drive from Prince George to the Prince Rupert, the highlight is Smithers to Prince Rupert in my mind.
Yeah. It was beautiful. So how did beer find you?
Beer found me in a midlife crisis. I was 44 years old and had just had a good run with a local airline company as a marketing director and business development guy, and looking for something different. And my partner and friend said, well, why don't you be a brewmaster? And I said, what the heck's a brewmaster? I don't know what a brewmaster is. I just drink beer.
Yeah.
From that, I just decided to, look into it. I had a bit of an online brochure from the VLB, which is a school in Berlin, and did some research, and it resonated with me. I know beer is a lot like cooking, making something. So I enjoy cooking. And I enjoyed beer. And then, of course, the other side of beer is you have to sell it and market it and put on events. So kind of that's sort of been my history.
Right.
So it seemed like it seemed to have a good fit for me. Plus, I had the opportunity, if I made the thing go to live in Europe, in Berlin for 6 months, and I didn't have any kids or a wife. So if it didn't work out, it was just me that was going to bomb.
Yeah.
So I went for it.
Yeah. So you went over to Germany?
Yep. I had to get a couple of years of. I don't have a home brewing background or anything like that.
Yeah.
Business, and I was looking for an idea, and like I say, it resonated. So I went to Ontario a few summers back and forth from Terrace in the van, and learned the nuts and bolts of brewing at Lake of Bays Brewing Company under a couple of good friends now and mentors. And from that, once I got the experience and it still worked out, I got accepted into the VLB in Berlin and made the trip over there. I think it was 2013 I was there for that year.
Right. And then how long until you finished the course and then had this brewery open?
I finished up. The course was done at the end of June 2013. I went back to Ontario and visited with the folks and family and did another bunch of months at Lake of Bays Brewing. And then Thanksgiving came and it was time to make a decision. So I had a house here, but I wasn't quite sure if I had it for the business, but had a couple of job offers in the brewing world, but I kind of stuck to my gun and came back to Terrace, and we put my business partner, Linda Parker, we put pen to paper in January 2014, got the place secured in March, ordered up the machinery, and we were open, like I say, for December.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, that's actually quite a fast turnaround considering some other breweries.
Yeah, I look at some of the stuff down in the bigger mainland area, and I kind of, count my blessings, because we certainly, the stars aligned for us, and the leasing on this property was favorable. So we didn't have a whole empty building waiting for months to get compliant or get accepted and things. We kind of just marched through it, and it kind of worked out well.
All right. And was there another brewery in Terrace at the time, or like what? And you just wanted to open here because you lived here, right?
That's right. I mean, there was no other brewery in town. There was a bit of a history of me working with another group that wanted to open a brewery, the Skeena Brewing Company, but they couldn't. Their plan couldn't move forward. So I kind of kept pushing forward on my own, and Linda came on board with me, and away we went. So we opened our own space.
And where does the name Sherwood Mountain come from?
Well, Sherwood Mountain is a bit of a story to itself. Basically, my last name Tucker. So for a long time, I've been called Tuck, and of course, Friar Tuck had come into my world over the years growing up. And but the truth was, we were in London after schooling of Berlin that I spoke about, and Parker came to visit me, and we went over and traveled around Europe a bit. And on the way out, we stopped in London, and we went to a theatrical production called the Wicked. Mm-hmm. And it's the story of the Wicked Witch, and how her story was wrongly portrayed, and that show went on about that, and it got us thinking. And it was Sherwood, and so it was Sherwood. The friar, he has another life. He lives in the forest with his friends over there, but in the off season, he comes to Terrace, BC, in the Coast Mountain Range, and brews beer. So he has a whole another half life here.
Right, and that's why he's on the bottle, right?
And that's why he's on the bottle. He's part of our story, and then it's a tie into my dad as well. So there's a couple of pieces that tie into the whole Sherwood thing.
Right.
Plus, it's kind of a little more unique than just something else like Skeena.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm in conversation with Darryl Tucker from Sherwood Mountain. So I was really excited to visit northern BC. And it was my first time up there, and I was kind of wondering where to begin. Well, you know what helped? The BC Ale Trail. At the bcaletrail.ca, you'll find the newly launched Ale Trail for northern BC, where you'll not only get suggestions for what breweries you should visit, but also pubs, local restaurants, and other activities the area has to offer. And there are a lot of them. While on the website, you'll find a comprehensive list of every craft brewery in BC, a calendar with beer events, and a blog featuring the stories of BC's craft beer scene. So whether you're planning a visit or being a tourist in your own backyard, let the BC Ale Trail guide you to your next beer adventure. Arrive thirsty, leave inspired at bcaletrail.ca. And thanks so much for supporting this podcast, guys. All right, let's jump back into conversation with Darryl at Sherwood Mountain. What's the size of the brew house there, and who made it?
For us, we opened up with a 15-barrel, 2-vessel brew house, and made by Creveller, North America, Canadian company, and that's kind of where we were at. We really wanted to support Canadian companies as much as we could, North America after that. So we got our quotes in, and for us, the decision was made to use Creveller equipment. So we started off with that 2-vessel brew house and 3 fermenters, 30-barrel fermenters, and a single 30-barrel bright. So that was where we opened with.
Yeah, and you've expanded since then?
Since then, we've added a couple of more 30-barrel fermenters, the single bright. We've got 2 more 45 barrels coming this fall to kind of get the production up. We recently added a Wild Goose canning system to our system, plus a little Maheen 2-head filler. So we can can, bottle, and keg now. So it's a good little system that we got going.
Yeah, and where are you sending that product to?
Definitely, we're the core of our business is right here out of the brew house, and then we stretch over to the Haida Gwaii, the Queen Charlotte Islands, Prince Rupert.
That's actually the first place where I had your beer was on Haida Gwaii when I was
Imagine that. There's only a handful of places that sell them, so that's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
No, it's really exciting to be able to sell on Haida Gwaii. Give me love going over there, but if you can throw a little business into it too, it's even that much sweeter.
Yeah.
So the Gwaii, the furthest west, obviously, and then we go all the way over to Prince George and do some runs ourselves. But our actual distribution stops at Houston, which is the other side of Smithers, Kitimat, and then different seasons we go up north, and from time to time people will come through and take product down to other reaches, but that's not our regular stops.
Yeah. So when you first opened your doors, what was the community's response to you guys opening?
When we first opened the doors, like I say, it was December 19th, and as you're building breweries and bringing in big tanks, people are curious and watching and paying attention. And when we opened the door, it was just Linda and I. We kind of, one day you have to just open. There's always more you can do.
Oh, yeah.
But we opened it up. It was just before Christmas, and nobody had a growler.
Right.
We knew what a growler was yet.
And did you have some in stock?
And we had a lot of growlers.
Okay, all right.
We ordered tons of growlers since that. I mean, they're starting to slow down now, but we've done a lot of growlers, and we still fill them every day regularly. When the doors open, it was crazy. We ended up calling friends and family. We just couldn't keep up. So, and that was kind of that whole Christmas right up to New Year's. And there's a little bit of a reprieve on January 2 or 3, but the interest was high that first year. So we the barn doors were swung wide open and away we went.
Right. Did you run out of beer?
I don't recall running out of beer. Hate running out of beer, and I don't try to do that very often. Of course, you run out of brands from time to time, but we never physically not had beer.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's good. Can't sell off an empty shelf, as a buddy would say.
Yeah, exactly. So where are you guys going from here? You said there's just a little bit of expansion coming. I mean, do you want to kind of distribute more amongst the province, or like what's the plan?
Well, we have to brew more beer because of the canning machine, and that basically, those in the business, it's all about volume, and there you make a little bit off each 6-packs or whatever. So right now we're just really trying to fill up the pipe and build up an inventory. And with our 5 vessels right now, we haven't been able to fill up the pipe and get an inventory build up. So really with the next 2, it's just a matter of building up inventory and then maybe take on a few more accounts in our region. But I don't have any aspirations of going beyond Prince George anytime soon. I just kind of like doing what we're doing here. It's not necessarily off the radar as far as further, but lots of great beer in BC. So, kind of keep her closer to home.
So you were mentioning inventory there and how nobody had a growler in this town. So what are the styles that you focus on, and what have you found has been kind of your most popular beer to make for the local community?
For us, hands down, we probably do more lagers than most BC brewers. I'm not sure, but yeah, up in here, we are the one that turns on the light daily. It's an easy drink, and light lager is 4.7% alcohol, 12, 15 IBUs. It's just like I say, you can drink that one and still work the lawnmower. It's but it's the one. It keeps flying. And then I did a Munich lager behind that one that kind of was a one-off, and it just took off. Some people just want a little bit of color and just a little bit more flavor, but again, it's not a heavy hitter and it's not a heavy IBU. And then my favorite, the Pilsner, because I brew that regularly too, and that's a German. You go into Germany, you got to learn how to brew the Pilsner, and this is the way they want you to do it, kind of thing, right?
Right.
So that one, and then we do a red ale that's pretty popular too.
So all right,
and then we have the regular fleet of IPAs and one-offs and things like that, browns.
So if somebody was to come and visit you here, what are some of the other attractions outside of your brewery and Terrace that people can enjoy?
Well, I think what people find when they come to Terrace is when it's a sunny day, it's stunning seeing the coast mountains, and as the drives are awesome. For me and for a lot of people that come more recently, the young people, it's the outdoor lifestyle. It's that Shames Mountain skiing, and the backcountry around here is awesome. Skiing is a big thing. And then, of course, there's the snowmobiling crowd. But internationally, people are coming here mainly for the sport fishing of salmon.
Right.
Different Europeans like the hiking in the mountains and that. But it's a sport fishing for salmon if they're coming to Terrace. They talk rubber tire traffic. People are driving through here or coming either way, east to west, west to east, because they're jumping on the ferries. Either they're going over to Haida Gwaii, or they're heading up to Alaska, or they're going down Vancouver Island, whatever direction they're heading. You got the BC coastline here and the Alaska coastline. So big world tourism destinations, those places.
Right. Yeah. And if somebody's wanting to go down the path of opening up their own brewery, what would be some advice that you could give them?
Opening up a brewery. Geez, I think where we really what put us on the right track is really taking the time to put together a decent and strong business plan, and really trying to work out the volumes and the numbers as best you can. I mean, I was lucky in the fact that I worked in the breweries, and we're older folks, so to speak. So we kind of had some business experience behind us, and I had access to information that because it was a known thing when I was working at Lake of Bays that I was going in to open a brewery. So they sort of shared some numbers, and I was able to see things firsthand.
Right.
So if you can get that practical experience and you can work with the numbers, that's only going to help you in the long day.
Right. Well, thank you so much for your time. Like it's a busy day here, so I really appreciate you sitting down and chatting.
Yeah. You came on one of those days, everything's just going on. Right on.
No, but thank you.
All right on here.
Big thank you to Darryl. Really appreciate it. I mean, it was a very busy day. I think one of the pumps broke or something that day, and he took a minute out of his day to speak with me, and it was very, very, very grateful that he did. And I love their beers. I love what they're doing up there. I just wish I can get it down in the Lower Mainland more often. So I guess that means I'll have to go back and visit soon. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Cascadian Beer Podcast. I do hope you're subscribed wherever you listen to podcasts, or you can go to the website cascadian.beer to find out how. Big thanks to the BC Ale Trail for also supporting this episode. Check them out at thebcaletrail.ca. There's a lot of great stuff coming in the pipeline this year, so be sure to keep checking the website. And did you know they got a mobile app now? Yeah, you can go download the BC Ale Trail app now. The details are on their website at bcaletrail.ca. If you want to keep up with this podcast series, you can through social media. We're on facebook.com/Cascadian Beer, on Twitter at Cascadian Beer, and on Instagram at Cascadian Beer Podcast. For more information, to follow this podcast series, see some show notes, see some photos of me and Darryl at the brewery, head to cascadian.beer. Thank you so much for listening. I really do appreciate it. And until next time, remember, support your local.